Okay, can you please open your books for the reading comprehension flowers for Algernon? And if it's possible, try to make a hurry because we are a little bit late because we need to finish it today. Did you open your books? Did you open the books, guys? Okay, hope so. So for the reading comprehension flowers for Algernon, I believe we have already finished about half of it. We started by speaking about a person. His name was Charlie Jordan. Charlie Jordan. This man, Charlie Jordan, unfortunately, he was born with an obstacle in his mind, which just allowed him to have 68 points of IQ. Consequently, he just loved how his friends are smart and concentrate on this. He loved the idea that his friends are smart and they always laugh and they love him, he supposed. So he just needed to become smart like them. So what did he do? He tended to attend a school. In that school, it was an art school, of course. The teacher at that school was called Miss Kenyon. Miss Kenyon. Miss Kenyon had the knowledge of knowing some people like Dr. Strauss and Dr. Nemur, and both of them were working on something in order to raise the IQ of the human beings. Yet, so far, they have not tried it on human. They only tried it on mice, including one mouse called Algernon. That's why we have the name Algernon in our reading comprehension, and later we will know why the flowers at the end of the reading comprehension. So, simply after assigning in that school, Charlie Jordan started to learn some new words, learn how to spell correctly. At the beginning, he had a very difficult situation while typing and when writing. He was presented for many tests and many tasks in order to just try to measure his IQ perfectly. So, as you can see at the beginning, he had a very hard timing. He couldn't write or spell correctly, and later he would just start by having obstacles. And while having the test or the race against Algernon, he would always lose. Consequently, they just didn't know whether the operation will be right or wrong to be done on him. But because he had that necessity, that urge, that I need to become smart, all my friends are. So why don't I? So he started studying along with Miss Kenyon, and she started to teach him well, and finally he got the operation. And after having the operation, nothing happened. Actually, nothing happened. He was just still as he is, he thinks. Yet, after the operation, his IQ started to raise a little bit by little bit. Even Dr. Nemo gave him a TV and asked him to open the TV while he was sleeping in order to work in his subconscious. And of course, by working on the subconscious, this will enable him to hear a lot, then to speak properly. Later, after the operation, everything changed with Charlie. He now became very smart, like super smart. He can read the whole page just by looking at it. He now memorizes everything. He speaks about topics that are hard to people, normal people. to understand. Even both Dr. Niemeyer and Dr. Strauss are not to be compared with him right now. So he has become a genius, simply. And we have spoken about that and how both Dr. Niemeyer and Dr. Strauss asked him to write just in a little easy situation so that other people can understand him. And we stopped at page 368, paragraph number 138. But I believe we will finish that. I hope today and tomorrow. So once again, 368, please. Paragraph number 138. All right. Is anyone keen to reading? Anyone is interested in reading, or shall I just read? If anyone wants to read, please let me know. Anyone? I believe you're still sleepy. Okay.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, Hassan, you may start.
I am very disturbed. I saw Miss Killian last night for the first time in over a week. I tried to avoid all discussions of intellectual concepts and to keep the conversation on a simple, everyday level. But she just started at me blankly and asked me what I meant about the mathematical variance equivalent in Doberman's fifth concert.
Concerto is a concert, but in Italy. So, for many days he didn't speak with Miss Kenyon, as he was, as you can remember, he was very, very angry. He was very irritated that most of his friends are now didn't like him after becoming super smart. Even his friends from the factory wanted him to just leave his job, and even the old signed paper for that. So he just was very sad that he did not communicate with Miss Kenyon. So she just come counter him one day and asked him about what does he mean by this strange thing. Oh, she doesn't understand what a mathematical variance equivalent is. And what is Dorpman's fifth concerto? What are you meaning by that? Because I don't know. I'm a normal person after all. That's Miss Kenyon, of course. Okay, continue, please, Hussein.
When I tried to explain, she stopped me and laughed. I guess I got angry, but I suspect I am approaching her on the wrong level. No matter what I try to discuss with her, I am unable to communicate. I must review Verhofstadt's equation on levels of semantic progression. I find that I don't communicate with people much anymore. Thank God for books and music and things I can think about. I am alone in my apartment at Miss Flynn's boarding house most of the time and seldom speak to anyone.
So now we come to a new obstacle, which is not being able to communicate in the right way. So, for example, one of you is having a problem right now, and all of us are trying to communicate with him. But unfortunately, we are approaching him with the wrong way. We're not asking the good questions. So all of us are coming, hey, what's wrong? What happened? Blah, blah, blah. He doesn't want to speak about that. So for Charlie right now, he's all thinking about theories, about mathematics, about technology, about discussion with hypothesis and thesis, and all of these scientific stuff. Because now he became super smart, so he needs to communicate in what he fits, what he thinks is a good thing to be discussed. But unfortunately for normal people, what are you talking about? We have no idea about what are you talking about. So when he tried to explain, she stopped me and laughed because simply she does not understand. Simply. So whatever you are trying to make, I do not understand it. So just stop. Okay. He tried to discuss another thing, which is Verhofstadt's equations of level on semantic progression. And again, what are those? I do not understand them either. Consequently, just stop. Do not speak about that. For him, for Charlie, at that point, he's not yet understanding that people don't tend to speak about technology, about mathematics, about science, about all of these great interesting methods and stuff right away. They just need to speak in something easy, something passion, okay, something romantic, especially when you are speaking to a lady. So he just didn't know what to do. So he just tends to stay at his room, reading his books, listening to his music. And the next progress report, I believe that's progress report number 13. He starts by saying, I would not have noticed the new dishwasher, a boy of about 16, at the corner dinner where I take my evening meals, if not for the instant of the broken dish. They crashed to the floor, shattering and sending bits of white china under the tables. The boy stood there, dazed and frightened, holding the empty tray in his hand. The whistles and catcalled from the customers, the cries of "Hey, there go the prophets!" Mazaltov, and well, he did not work very long, which invariably seems to follow the breaking of the glass or dishwares in a public restaurant. All seemed to confuse him. When the owner came to see what the excitement was about, the boy cowered as if he expected to be struck and threw up his arms as if to ward off the blow. All right, you dope, shouted the owner. Don't just stand there. Get the broom and sweep the mess up. A broom. A broom, you idiot. It's in the kitchen. Sweep up all the pieces. The boy saw that he was not going to be punished. His frightened expressions disappeared, and he smiled and hummed as he came back with the broom to sweep the floor. A few of the Roger customers kept up the remarks, amusing themselves at his expense. Here, Sonny, over here. Here's a piece behind you. Of course, here at that point, if you can just imagine, now a new boy, working in the restaurant, and it seems like that he's dumb. So, of course, from this situation, Mark will come to remember himself long before the operation, how dumb he was, how the people treated him, and now by seeing this expression and this situation, let's see what will happen. So, come, do it again. He's not so dumb. It's easier to break them than to wash them. As his vacant eyes moved across the crowd of amused onlookers, he slowly mirrored their smiles and finally broke into an uncertain grin at the joke, which he obviously did not understand. So, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by He's not dumb. It's easier to break them than to build them. I'm sorry, I don't understand that. So come to feel the counter and the alternate in the plot. Okay, so he mirrored the smiles and finally broke into a certain grin. Why that uncertain grin? Because he obviously, apparently, did not understand the joke. I felt sick inside as I looked at his dull, vacuous smile. The wide bright eyes of a child, uncertain but eager to please. They were laughing at him because he was mentally retarded, and now he mirrored himself as long ago when he was working in the factory being dumb and people are smiling and laughing at him and calling anyone who's doing a stupid thing or a stupid action as a Charlie Jordan. So he mirrored that boy in his eyes, and he now is asking, was I like him? All the people were treating me like this boy. So here comes an inside obstacle or complexity of the plot, and I had been laughing at him too. Suddenly, I was furious at myself and all those who were smirking at him. I jumped up and shouted, "Shut up! Leave him alone! It's not his fault he cannot understand. He can't help what he is, but he's still a human being, isn't he?" So at that situation, once again, Charlie is again mirroring himself. Okay, he is mirroring himself. Very important point. He slowly mirrored their smiles and finally broke to the uncertain understanding of the joke. So we need now to compare Charlie's situation along before the operation and his situation right now. Before the operation, he was just like that boy who just broke the china. And after it, he's just like all of the other people and even more smarter than them. But again, he was in that boy's shoes. He was in his situation. So he feels him and feels him very, very strong. That's why he tempted to shout at those people in order to stop them from laughing at a human being. So far, so good. Any questions so far about anything?
No.
Okay. Anyone is eager to continue? Safe. Paragraph number 152. Safe Radi, still with us? Hayat, Faleh. Okay. So in
Yes,
paragraph
teacher,
number
can you
one,
hear me?
yes, Faleh, we can hear you.
Okay, from 153.
52.
Okay. The room grew silent. I cursed myself for losing control and creating a scene. I tried not to look at the boys as I paid my check and walked out without touching my food. I felt ashamed for both of us.
Alright, so after he shouted at the people at the restaurant, the room grew silent. Perhaps now he had made a scene, making a scene like making something strange that tends people to either laugh or get afraid or become confused. So one of these scenes he made, which is what's going on? Why is he so irritated? What's going on with this person? Okay, a boy just broke the plates and we are laughing. It's easy, right? Of course not. Perhaps it's easy for some of them. Yet for Charlie, because he was in that student, that boy, in his exact situation, he did not like to see him at this situation. So he felt ashamed and he cursed himself for losing control and creating that scene. He even did not try to look at the boy while he has paid for his check, and even without touching his food, he just felt ashamed for both of them and left the restaurant. Can you continue, Muhammad?
I continue, teacher.
Yes, please.
Okay. How strange it is that people of honest feelings and sensibility who would not take advantage of a man born without arms or legs or eyes. How such people think nothing of abusing a man born with low intelligence. Infuriated
Nice.
me to me to think that not too long ago I like this boys had foolishly played the clown and I had almost forgotten.
Alright, so simply, once again, what has infuriated him, make him very furious, very angry, is that people sometimes tend not to have passion and compassion to those who were born with disabilities, like losing an arm, losing a leg, or even those who are blind. And also, what about those who are born with very, very, very low intelligence? What can they do? They were born like that. And what made him even angrier and even more angry and more mad that he just imagined himself because one time I played the clown. One time people laughed at me. So that's what made him very, very angry. In paragraph number 155, Turkey, still with us? Samer?
Yes,
Okay, Samer, 155, can you read?
okay. I taken the picture of the old Charlie Gordon from myself because now that I was intelligent, it was something that had to be pushed out of my mind. But today, in looking at that boy for the first time, I saw what I had been. I was just like him. Only a short time ago, I learned that people laughed at me. Now I can see that unknowingly I joined with them in laughing at myself. That hurts most of all. I have often reread my progress reports and seen the the
Illiteracy.
the illiteracy, the child, the childish,
Naive.
naivete, the mind of low intelligence peering from a dark room through the keyhole at the dazzling light outside. I see that even in my dullness I knew that I was inferior, and that other people had something I lacked, something denied me. In my mental blindness, I thought that it was somehow connected with the ability to read and write. I was sure that if I could get those skills, I would automatically have intelligence too.
So, once again, we are speaking about why Charlie became very irritated and so furious at the situation in the diner. Simply because he imagined himself long before the operation and that he was not so smart and people used to laugh at him. And what made him more angry is that he started to imagine himself as those people cheering their laughs at a very unintelligent boy. So he now felt the guilt. Remember or know when you do something very very bad, and you know that this thing is bad, but you have never ever imagined yourselves doing such a thing. Yeah? But once you do it, and after doing it, you remember, what have I done? No, that's not me. Should not have done that. And that's why Charlie became so furious and irritated. Paragraph 159. A child might not know how to feel itself or what to eat, yet it knows of hunger. This then is what I was like. I never knew. Even with my gift of intellectual awareness, I never really knew. This day was good for me. Seeing the past more clearly, I have decided to use my knowledge and skills to work in the field of increasing human intelligence level. And here is the most important point, that now, after comparing his past to his present, he took a very, very serious decision, which is try to complete the work of Dr. Strauss and Dr. Niemour and work in the field in order to increase the human level of intelligence. Who's better equipped for this work? Who else has lived in both worlds? These are my people. Let me use my gift to do something for them. Tomorrow, I'll discuss with Dr. Strauss the manner in which I can work in this area. I may be able to help him work out the problems of widespread use of the technique which was used on me. I have several good ideas of my own. So, simply, after seeing the boy in the restaurant and comparing himself to his past, Charlie decided to work in the field of increasing human intelligence and asked Dr. Strauss to continue his research because he's the best one to fit at that job. Why? Because he has lived in the both world, as dumb and as super intelligent. In paragraph 163, there's so much that might be done with this technique. If I could be made into a genius, what about thousands of others like myself with fantastic levels might be achieved by using this technique on normal people, on genius. Just imagine if you are a genius and we tripled your IQ, so you'll become like crazy genius. There are so many doors to open. I am impatient to begin. And the next progress report number 15, May 23. It happened today. Algernon hit me for the first time. I visited the lab to see him as I do occasionally, and when I took him out of his cage, he snapped at my hand. I put him back and watched him for a while. He was unusually distracted and vigorous. What's going on with Algernon? The next day, Pert, who's in charge of the experiment animals, tells me that Algernon is changing. He is less cooperative. He refuses to run the maze, and more general motivations has decreased, and he hasn't been eating. Everyone is upset about what this may mean. So we counter a new obstacle and a new problem right now, which is number one, Algernon hit him, and that Pert is telling him that Algernon is changing, and consequently, everyone is afraid. What could this mean? Will Algernon become stupid again? Will he lose his ability to challenge and run the maze? Will he become an ordinary mouse or an ordinary mouse once again? And if it happened to Algernon and became an ordinary mouse, What will happen to Charlie? The next day, May 25th, and if you can see here, progress report, there is not much between them. Each day he's writing something. May 25th, they have been feeding Algernon, who now refuses to work the shifting log problem. Everyone identifies me with Algernon. In a way, we are both the first of our kind. They are all pretending that Algernon's behavior is not necessarily significant for me. What's happening with Algernon has no clue to do with you, so do not worry, Charlie. Of course, it is totally wrong. But it isn't hard to hide the fact that some of the other animals who were used in this experiment are showing strange behavior. Very, very strange behavior. Dr. Strauss and Dr. Nemur have asked me not to come to the lab anymore. I know what they are thinking, but I cannot accept it. I'm going ahead with my plans to carry their research forward with all due respect to both of these fine scientists. I'm well aware of their limitation. If there is an answer, I'll have to find out myself. Suddenly, time has become very, very important for me. So now, simply after seeing all of these animals which were used in the operation, they are showing a very strange behavior, and this is might be significant for something that can affect both the animals and also Charlie. So Charlie wanted to work fast on the research so that he can continue the work of the both fine scientists and also provide a variety of clues for others to follow. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay, let's take the absence.
Teacher, the story is very long.
Yeah, it's remember Christmas Carol last year?
What is that?
You had also in grade 7 a very, very long comprehension called The Christmas Carol. It was a play about
Oh, yes, yes.
a man in the Christmas.
Teacher, can you hear me?
And yes, Muhammad, I can hear you.
Yeah, this is just new. I'm back in Riyadh. I still don't have books.
Oh, congratulations, welcome back.
Yeah, the screen is really big. I like my screen. I used to be on a laptop.
Okay, that's it.
I legit forgot how to use a keyboard and mouse. I'm so
Oh my
used to the
God.
touchpad being behind the keyboard. So I just want to
Okay,
put the mouse behind the keyboard. Oh, and Asil says hi.
come on. Bro.
Teacher,
All right,
Asil
let's
says hi.
discuss. So, please, for those who are
Asil, teacher?
hearing their names, answer me, raise your hands or type in the chat. Abdulaziz Sana, Abdul Malik Adib. Both of you are in the attendees. So, raise your hands or type in the chat, otherwise, I'll take you as an absent.
Teacher,
Yes, Muhammad?
Asil says hi.
Really?
Yeah, he told me that.
Okay, since him my regards, please. I miss him so much. Abdul Rahman. Okay. Ahmad.
Was Jasil in a government school? Or did
Will
Yes,
I
he
have
is. He is. He told me. So this.
اوكي علي فيصل خالد الملكي خالد العتيبي فيصل الشعلان with us. No. Okay. علي العتيبي، خالد الخليفة، شعب، محمد العتيبي، محمد الفاتح، محمد الخياط، محمد السعيد، نواف سامر، أسامة، فيصل العنزي، سيف صالح. تامر تركي، زهير الدفي. Alright, grade 8. Any questions so far?
No.